Hey, this is Darcy, and this is the first time I've ever seen our back room, ain't it pretty, on camera at Mindsculpt Games, but we're about to do a box opening of Ixalan, the newest Magic the Gathering set, and it's a lot of fun. We have 18 players drafting it tonight, and more tomorrow. Alright, so we're going to be cracking a whole booster box of Ixalan. So when it's genuine, you have a Wizards of the Coast wrap around it. That's how you know you get a box that hasn't been tampered with. And now I got to try out camera to unwrap my box quickly. Should have brought the box cutter, right? But I love opening booster boxes. It's a nice, relaxing hobby, a little treasure hunt. And when the theme is treasures, like Ixalan, expeditions in unknown lands, it's extra fun. So these are pretty boxes. This is Vraska. She's a planeswalker. She is Gorgon-like, and she petrifies things or turns them to stone with the gaze of the Gorgon. Green-black creature originally. We'll see if we pull a Vraska planeswalker and get to talk to her more about her more. But this is a set with dinosaurs, pirates, vampires that seem like conquistadors, and merfolk. So some of the most iconic things in Magic, but we're just going to start opening packs. We're going to set our nicer cards over here, go through it, talk a little about it. We're going to try to hit all aspects, whether it's casual, draft, standard, spike, modern, whatever we want. So Skull Drudgery, these common cards, we're going to talk about those a little less, but it helps if you know instant sorcery type things. I'm just going to put down my commons right here. Opt, that's a good card. Opt is scry, draw one card at instant speed, used in modern, those types of things. Probably 50 cents right there per common. Pirate's Cutlass, vanquish the weak. Alright, so we got a Kite Sail Freebooter, a Bellowing Aegisar, and an Air Elemental. And here we have our first fish. So this is actually pretty cool art if you ask me. You got the cyclone down here with the boat inside of it, and then you got the fish way up there, huge fish, fleet swallower size. The fleet of ships are in the cyclone, and he's big enough to swallow that. So he's a 6/6 for 7. I mean, that's not too spicy to start. If you're running a deck where you're trying to deck somebody, this might be fun. Could be fun and casual. I like the art and appeal. Captain, I think that island is following us. Uh-oh, it's the Fleet Swallower. So there's our first rare, and then we got the treasure card over here. Alright, going into the next pack, what we're looking to hit, we're looking at our mythics, we're looking for foils here. I mean, there's other things we could be looking for, but we're going to start cutting through the commons, stick those in a stack. All these will be for sale at Mindsculpt Games, so if you see something you like, you can come get it. This is Lightning Crew, it's a goblin pirate, so if you like the pirate flavor, you now got gobos on your pirate ship. You can tap Lightning Rig Crew to deal 1 damage to each opponent. That's extra nice in Commander. It is a 0/5, so pretty hard to kill. 1 red, 2 other. And then whenever you cast a pirate spell, untap Lightning Rig Crew. So possibly this is a type of card that one day gets some type of combo around it, but for now might be fun in Commander. Let's see what we get. A Dowsing Dagger. So when this enters the battlefield, target opponent creates 0/2 green plant creature tokens with Defender. 2 of those. Equipped creature gets +2/+1. So your opponent gets some plants, but you get a +2/+1, and whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you may transform this. So with an equipped cost of 2, oh, that's cool. So this is the Lost Veil. I'm going to have to learn how to do this, folks. Oh, there we go. So we add 3 mana of any one color to your color pool. Now, if you can make that happen, that is a huge advantage. There used to be, legal in Magic the Gathering tournaments, and still is in Legacy format, a thing called a Black Lotus. And in 1993 it was printed. 1995 is when I started playing. You could have got them for 30 to 90 bucks. By the time I was really buying cards, they could have been $300. Today, if you get a Black Lotus, it's about $3,000 to $5,000 depending on condition. PSA graded can go higher than that. So one of the reasons Magic is interesting to people is it's actually kind of been a really good investment for the people that started in 1993 and kept their cards. Unknown Shores, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. That is a pretty cool card there. Foil of that would be worth a little bit. Let's see. We got some Wanted Scoundrels here. We got a Field of Ruin, Andonto Vanguard, and Angosh's Marauders. So this is a human pirate. Might have some good synergy with those goblin pirates we just talked about. And then here it says if a source you control would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals double that damage of that permanent or player instead. So 7 mana is pretty hefty, but those Furnace of Wrath effects, they cost a little bit. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. But what I was talking about, in the early 90s, Magic was a limited resource. It was really hard to get. They didn't want to overprint and get stuck with a lot of products, so they tried to print as much as they could. But the cards from 1993 era are actually a lot less than this card would be. This card's probably going to have, I don't know, 1 million in print. A Regisaur Alpha is not going to be too hard to find. It's a pretty good card. It makes other dinos you control have haste. It is a 4/4 for 5, and it builds up your dinosaurs. When it enters the battlefield, you get an extra dinosaur, so that has trample too. So you get 7 power and toughness for 5. This is actually a pretty solid card. But Magic, and honestly, since I started playing, a lot of our cards have taken an uptick in value. There's been pretty consistent secondary market ability. I've never really lost money playing Magic. In fact, the reason we have a store is because we've been able to buy and sell collections and move on up in the Magic world. And honestly, we've just been positive in spending money on Magic so far. So we'll see if we sell our 30 boxes of Ixalan here. Walk the plank, destroy target non-merfolk creature. That hits a lot of creatures, but Modern does have merfolk decks, so you gotta be careful with that. Merfolk can survive walking the plank, that makes sense. So here I got a foil, so my rare is actually the 4th card from the back. I got the token, the forest, the foil, and then here I got Emperor's Vanguard, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, it explores. Explores is an Ixalan specific card ability, and whenever it deals damage, what that means is you get to put, reveal the top card of your library, put that card in your hand if it's a land, otherwise put a +1/+1 counter on it, and then put the card into your graveyard. So exploring helps you get lands quicker or grows your creatures quicker, so nice thing there. Let's see, we'll stick our foils up there unless they're bigger. But truthfully, Magic's been one of my favorite games, probably because I like to play the secondary market, because I enjoy a hobby that, yeah, I can crack packs and pay the cost of the product and get that experience out of a draft, but pretty often a draft can pay for itself by trading the cards, selling the cards, working with them there. And, you know, honestly, it's fun to play a hobby that can pay for itself and a hobby that involves trading and selling. And honestly, we have a lot of players that buy packs, come in, trade their cards to us, get more packs, and get what they want out of them. But it's a treasure hunt game itself. So Ixalan is pretty cool with the treasure hunt theme, but also it's nice that, you know, going through packs is a treasure hunt. So it'd be nice if we pulled a Carnage Tyrant out, or if we got a foil Planeswalker out of this stuff. All those things would be pretty good outcomes. We got a Heartless Pillage, Snapping Sailback, Raging Sword Tooth, and then here's our first mythic. So this is Tishana, Voice of Thunder, and what Tishana does, her power and toughness are equal to the number of cards in your hand, and if you play something like a spellbook, that can be an unlimited thing, but with her, that's unlimited too. You have no maximum hand size, which that's a nice advantage, especially if you're playing Commander in blue-green. There's lots of cards that draw you extra cards, and when she enters the battlefield, draw a card for each creature you control. Wow! Oh, I really want to play her in Commander. That's amazing, because being able to fill up your field and then draw cards for your creatures, that's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Foil of her, I bet, would be great. Actually, I might have to ask myself later, is Tishana a her? Anyway, Commander is a 100-card format where you build singleton decks that have only one of each card in them. They're led by a commander that's a legendary creature, and the colors in the deck follow the colors of your commander. So if I played her, I'd play a blue-green commander deck. Oop. Here's a Sun Petal Grove, so this is a land. It'll be in standard again, probably for about the 5th time if I can count the number of reprintings right off the top of my head. But this is a card that enters the battlefield tap unless you control a forest or a plains, so if it's your 2nd land, it's amazing. And then it adds a green or a white to your mana pool. So you got the original dual lands, but then you got lands that try to do 2 mana at once. There's always some type of drawback since the original printing. Sun Petal Grove has a light drawback. If you can play it after your first land, there really isn't a drawback. So standards with these in it usually have a pretty good balance in the availability of the decks. It's easier to play more colors. You see more variety in the top tier decks. Standards usually better when those sets are in. So it's a good land for me to see. Let's see. We got a Sheltering Light, Seeker Squire, Shapers of Nature, and a Captivating Crew. So this is another pirate. Gain control of target creature an opponent controls until end of turn. Untap that creature. It gains haste until end of turn. Activate this ability only anytime you get to activate a sorcery. Sorry, I'm killing you with the camera. I am learning my skills here. But those pirates, there's a lot of them. Ooh, look, a foil opt. That's a dollar card, and by a dollar I mean a couple dollars. It's actually one of our better pulls so far. Opt is a card that'll be used in Modern. It was last printed in Odyssey. It has never had a new face foiling to it. So that's actually, it's a common foil. A lot of people might look past it, but that's one of the better value cards in the set, especially a couple years out. Magic's one of those card games, a couple years out, is always a little hard to predict because there are reprintings. There's a Merfolk versus Goblins deck coming up. Let's see, we got a Sanctum Seeker. This is a vampire, and whenever a vampire you control attacks, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. 3/4 for 4. The curve has creeped up on creatures, mana cost, and power toughness rating. He's pretty efficiently costed, but he lets people tilt the board every time he attacks. So if you attack with 3 vampires, that's 3 extra damage right there. That's a pretty good thing. What I was saying before, it's hard to predict what will be reprinted and how it'll affect card value and what supply and demand really does, but I'll tell you what, most of my knowledge of supply and demand and market economics is really what I gained. Oops, Spell Pierce. That is a nice common. Those are worth holding on to, even worth trading for. Spell Pierce has been a $2 common before out of Zendikar. We'll see again what that reprinting does to it, but it's probably one that's going to be pretty worth holding on to or even seeking out. Oh, sweet. Pretty good rare here. Search for Azkaban at the beginning of your upkeep. This is a legendary enchantment for only 2. At the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. You may put it into your graveyard. Then if you have 7 or more cards in your graveyard, you may transform it. And if you are familiar with ancient runes, sunken runes, I am blanking. Tolarian Academies, the Academy runes. This will look familiar. Add 1 mana, blue mana to your mana pool. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a non-creature, non-land card from it among them and put it into your hand. The Academy runes would say artifact there, but the idea is that you are able to get extra card advantage. The rest of them go on the bottom of your library. But being able to pick your spells off the top of your deck and have extra spells beyond your draw step, that's pretty nice. So it's one of our more valuable cards up there. I'm a slow pack opener. I'm going to have to learn more about this if we continue to do these. So you notice the dinosaur theme here, and let's see, there's more of our pirates. That's actually the guy on the poster, huh? Going through them. Got more clerics. That's a vampire cleric. So our vampires are white and black in here. There's a merfolk spell that's blue. A merfolk that's green. Ooh, another mythic. So we got Gishath Sun's Avatar. So this guy's a gold card because he involves more than 1 color. So he's actually a tri-color creature, white, green, and red, or Naya. And he is a 7/6 with trample, vigilance, and haste. So that means he does damage past the creature's toughness if the player blocks to the player. He doesn't tap when he attacks, and he can attack the turn he comes into play. And then this guy, whenever this deals combat damage to a player, reveal that many cards from the top of your library. Put any number of dinosaur creature cards from among them onto the battlefield, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So if this 8 mana creature ever does hit the board and then deal damage, you're getting more creatures and you probably ought to win, but this is a legendary creature, so again, if we're thinking about Commander, he is built very well for Commander. I think Ixalan's going to be one of the best-selling Magic sets lately, maybe the best-selling ever. And Great Bend it sure will be. Our store's growing and our player base is booming. But I think Magic's marketing and research and design really has done well. They just had Commander, which were themed on specific creature types, vampires, dragons, etc. So lots of people are going to be excited to add their vampires from this to the Commander decks. But they are purposely building well towards multiple archetypes. This has a lot of thematic tribal themes, or with the pirates or the dinosaurs. And with that, they're able to have some synergy between their products. So we sold tons of Commander products. We have Commander Nights on Monday, and people seem to like Commander here. And if they get cards in Ixalan that build up their Commander decks, or that play well in Standard, or that can go into Modern, there are cards that are pretty well cross-format there. They're doing well with things. Plus, they got pirates and dinosaurs, which might seem a little fun, and fun's good, but they also have an upcoming product called Unstable, which is one of those sets where it's not meant to be standard legal. It's going to have weird, goofy things. The Knight of the Hokey Pokey is probably my favorite uncard, and you could tap some mana, get up and do the Hokey Pokey, and prevent some damage to him. So it's one of those sets that, oops, there's an uncommon over there. Shame on me for sorting badly. 3 of them. It's one of those sets that really lets you relax with Magic, and the truth is a lot of people get stuck on Revel in Riches. That's a decent card right there. Helps you get extra mana. There's a lot of players out there that can kind of get stuck on the grind of really competitive Magic and forget the fun, and Commander is fun and personalizable and really a creative art, and unglued, unhinged, unstable type cards let people enjoy the game for a game. It's not wrong to be liking tournaments and trying to go on them. My husband and I spent a summer doing like 12, 15 tournaments. It was really fun together, traveling around. But I don't know. I started playing Magic when I was 13, and the fun for me still is in exploring the cards, reading the flavor text, getting into the story, you know. Arcane adaptation there. And I think really a lot of what Magic is about is exploring fantasy worlds, exploring cards, being able to trade with other players, being able to interact and build up. Got a Rigging Runner, Adato Vanguard, Bishop of the Bloodstain, Fathom Fleet Captain. I pulled him in my pre-release pack too. So more pirate synergy there. And we got a Deep Root Warrior, common foil. We'll stick that one up there. I don't know. My family plays Magic. My dad used to play Magic with me. I met my husband while playing Magic. It's one of those things for me. I'll probably never get away from this game. It's fun to sell it. It's fun to buy it. I like to work with singles, and I don't know. Bought singles today from a guy that's getting furniture for the move, and sold us some singles before they moved, you know, and getting some extra money for those next life advances. I've bought cards from people when they're having kids, or when they're in between jobs, or when they're graduating college and want to grow up. And this is a Shaper Sanctuary. Whenever a creature you control becomes a target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, you may draw a card. So at 1 mana, I wouldn't look past this card too much, especially when cards get ready to rotate. Cards that might be modern playable in sideboards, or might see relevant sideboard play, or even some Commander pickup. Those are the type of cards that now you might get pretty cheaply, but a couple years down the road, they're pretty well guaranteed to be $3 or $4. Those are the kind of cards that 8 months from now I'd be looking to trade for pretty heavy. That's one of the nice things about Magic. I mean, at Mindsculpt Games, we sell social in a way. Like when you buy a draft entry fee, you get to sit down. That's another guy from the poster, Vicious Conquistador. Unclaimed Territory. That's one of the best cards in the set. Uncommon at $2. I pulled a foil of that earlier. The foil is like $10, but it produces any mana color for the creature type that you choose. Real easy pull. Lots of those will come out. Drowned Catacombs, so that pack was worth a good amount between the land and that. But the truth is, like, if I open a booster box now and I play it in standard, I'll get the entertainment value out of it. Plus, if I am patient and I wait a couple years, it has a lot of growth potential too. Honestly, a booster box that you opened 5 years ago, the value of it now is going to be more than that booster box. Now, if you try to sell this booster box tomorrow and you don't have good sales outlets, I mean, you're probably not making money just flipping the single straight. Sometimes you do. Sometimes you get lucky. Stores that do mass box openings or us selling to our customers, we're probably going to make a little money. Not a ton. Sunbird's Invocation. But when you're patient, when you sit on it, when you play your cards for a long time, when you go to sell them, it's pretty easy to recover your value. And that's one of the nice things about Magic the Gathering. You're paying for an event experience, you're paying for that social experience, but then you're paying for things that you can invest in, you can upgrade through trades that you can sit on. There's people that speculate on Magic the Gathering. There's websites that try to track gathering, like there's an MTG stocks website that tries to track cards as if they are stocks, and there are people that invest thousands of dollars at a time in graded Power 9 and try to build their wealth that way. So here's a legendary creature for Merfolk. This guy's a 2/2 for 3. Makes opponent, let's see, spells your opponent's cast that target a Merfolk cost 2 more to cast, and abilities your opponents activate that target a Merfolk cost 2 more to activate. So this guy's a pretty good grease card if you stuck him in a Merfolk deck. If you wanted to, you could put him in as your commander, another commander eligible legendary creature there. Magic really does have a good maturation value. If you're sitting on a binder of rares that you haven't touched in 3 years, maybe you ought to bring them into me and I can see what they're worth. But if you got a binder of rares that you haven't touched in 10 years, woo-wee, definitely bring them into me. Those cards are worth something. And a lot of that's because there are more players now than there were when those cards were in circulation. So the supply to demand ratio, if it's popular in a commander deck and X amount of players are playing commander, Ashes of the Abhorrent, another good sideboard card that might increase desirability. Sometimes you gotta outweight the supply and demand. Like, you gotta, new cards now, if it's a sideboard card for modern, you're not gonna see it worth a lot yet. You're gonna need to see some of those disappear from the marketplace, some of those go into binders, some of those not being in store cases before the value really matures. But if Magic continues to grow its player base, and they have great R&D, they have good marketing, they have a lot of local game stores pushing for them, they're sold in Walmarts across the nation. Local game stores always give you better prices, though. Ooh, there's a Vampire Knight. And look at that. 2 rares in a pack. Because I got a foil rare. Priest of the Waking Sun. So a human cleric there. This one lets you reveal a dinosaur card from your hand if you do gain 2 life. So this guy goes along with the dinosaurs. He might be Holati's friend. But then you can sacrifice Priest of the Waking Sun after paying 5. Search your library for a dinosaur card, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle your library. So only 1 mana, 5 for the ability, but if you get this guy early and then late game you're putting dinosaurs in your hand, could be pretty useful. Let's see, where should we stick these guys? We'll put him right there as the foil rare. So I think Magic will continue to grow. I think even if the game shrinks a little bit in the sets, like they produced 8 sets in a row that were their best selling set ever, and then they encountered a couple that weren't and people were worried about it. I think Ixalan's going to be their next best selling set ever, but there's going to be more and more players, so the cards you're buying now with more demand on them later, whoo, look at that. Unclaimed Territory foil, that's another $10 right there. Pretty card, pretty card. The more demand increases, the better your cards are on the secondary market. So as long as Magic continues to grow, the cards stay a pretty good investment. Now, I wouldn't want you to think you can buy standard cards and turn them around the next day, but if you're buying them to play them, it's a consumer hobby, to be honest. It's not necessarily a speculator's hobby to open booster packs, but if you're buying them to play them, enjoying them a couple years, and you don't mind sitting on them, collections that are a couple years old are good to sell, good to buy. I think Magic's got good health going forward. Kamena's Speaker. This is in one of the Precon decks. Kamena's Speaker gets +1/+1 as long as you control another Merfolk or an island. So a 1 cost casting cost creature that can easily be a 2/2. Curd Ape led the way in that kind of dynamic, but modern day creatures get more and more powerful. It seems the more sets get printed. I don't know why they'd go backwards on that. There's another Priest of the Awakening Sun. Maybe I should build a dino deck. It's fun to be able to build decks that are based on creature types or flavor. Honestly, I always had a couple tournament decks built. My favorite thing was to build one deck and get to know it real well, and then just the play experience increase would make what I do so much better. And then have a couple casual decks to go with it. So this card's pretty good. It is another one of those flip lands. So with this you can pay 2 life and draw a card, and if you have 5 or less life you can transform it. So a little bit of risk, but that sounds like a black card that lets you draw cards. Always a little bit of risk. So it turns into the Temple, which is a legendary land, acts like a swamp by letting you add black to your mana pool. But also, you can sacrifice a creature and gain life equal to the sacrificed creature's toughness. Now you might think, oh, whoopee, why would I want to gain life? But black's ability to use its life for gain and then gain life on the same black card, not having to include another color. There's a lot of things black can do by paying life that are a lot better than other colors without paying life. It's just getting that life back. So that's actually, oh, favorable wins. Flying decks like this card. Creatures you control with flying get +1/+1. Look at that artwork. That's going to be a pretty foil. I hope I pull a foil of that. Favorable Winds foil has always been a value card. This one won't be any different. Those drakes, are they drakes? Anyway, they're pretty cool. Flying dinosaurs. Ooh, a Verdant Sun's Avatar. 7 mana dinosaur avatar. 5/5. Whenever Verdant Sun Avatar or another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain life equal to the creature's toughness. Hard to kill you if you're gaining life on 5/5 creatures, so. Now, Magic's changed a little bit for me over the years. I mean, I used to pay my paper route money to buy booster boxes and try to grind out a little bit of value here and there by trading in cards or selling them back to the shop, and maybe on eBay every once in a while. Lightning Strike, that's always a good card. Oh, it's an uncommon now, huh? Deals 3 damage to target creature or player. That will be played in Standard, always is when it's in print. And I got a Captain Lannery Storm. I talked about her a little bit in our pre-release video. So she has haste, makes treasures, and you get benefits for the treasures. So lots of synergy there if that's the way you want to play. Magic has gone through phases, so my husband and I have been competitive at times. Now I like the market more than anything, and Magic has a market, so there's a side game there if you want to try to play it. But we have kids now, so I like the pictures. I like the fact that this is dinosaurs and pirates and that I can talk to my kid about it. We have a whole collection of pre-constructed decks, and ooh, Overflowing Insight. Target player draws 7 cards. Now it's a mythic sorcery, and you might wonder why 7 mana and 7 cards are a good thing, but one shot 7 cards, you can bind this with something like Omniscience, and you got interesting possibilities with this card, so don't look past it too much. It might be a mythic that people think, oh, that's not playable, but there's a lot of combo stuff out there. Now that I have kids, I mean, I pick up a bunch of precons and I play with Eli, and I value the flavor of it. I value that his favorite deck is the Merfolk deck from Lorwyn, so I'm actually pretty excited about this set having Merfolk again. But the flavor text I like, and the reading I like, and the math I like, and it's a good family game, and I hope my kid doesn't play, you know, like 24/7 or spend all his money on MTGO. Those wouldn't be good things, but if he's buying physical cards that have a good market life afterwards, and he's doing all his homework and reading for fun on Friday night and doing some math, I'd consider that a win. Oh, that's pretty. I like foils, by the way. Foils are one of my favorite things, so take a look at that. Shapers of Nature. This is a Merfolk Shaman. Puts counters on things, removes counters to let you draw a card. Kind of reminiscent of the Guild Masters of Ravnica era. But I like the pretties, so if you ever want to bring me foils, I will buy every foil I see from you. We'll buy any card we see from you, honestly. At Mind Sculpt Games, we don't turn back cards. We buy everything that people, well, we make an offer on everything that people bring in. But even if you bring me in a box of 100 rares and you tell me they're bulk, I'll say, okay, bulk rate's 10 cents a rare, and you can walk away with money for that. We buy commons and uncommons by the thousands or by the slot. Bought a bunch of cards tonight. We just looked up the values. I made an offer on it. He went home with cash. It's a nice way to go home for Friday Night Magic, right? I really like to get collections where I get everything. I gave a guy, well, I'm not going to give an exact amount, but I gave over $1,000 out tonight for a collection, and after some man hours, that's going to pay a month or two of rent, and that's how our business functions. So I like cards like this. Entrancing Melody, it's a sorcery, so you can't destroy this after it's in. It's not like one of those enchantments to steal creatures, but this lets you gain control of a creature with converted mana cost X. I like decks like that, in Commander especially. Fun to do things there. Alright, there's not so many packs left. But the truth is, you got to find what works for you in Magic, and if that's trying to win a bunch of tournaments or hit the Pro Tour, that's fine. There's lots of people that do enjoy that, but I mean, you got to have respect for the people that are playing with their kids because it's flavorful, because it's math practice. The moms who play Magic with the kids for math practice, right? How many of those have you met before? They're out there, though. The people that like the value of the cards, the people that want to play the market, foil land. The people that enjoy playing with their roommates, the people that pick up a 4-player plane chase set or arch enemy set and they want to play casually with their college friends. I mean, not everybody has the same Magic motive as you, and that's why it's important to be open-minded and look at the cards. And oh, there's another favorable wins. Legion's Landing, huh? Legendary enchantment vampire. Sorry, it's not a vampire, but it puts white vampires into play, and if you attack with 3 or more creatures, transform Legion's Landing. This is a 1-mana enchantment, gives you a 1/1 life-linking vampire for 1. That's not bad, but if you can transform it, you can have a token generator. I think this card's going to be pretty good, to be honest. White Weenie has a way of being consistent and easy to play, puts it into demand, so 1 white, 2 other, create a white 1/1 white vampire token with lifelink. I really like lifelink. Lifelink is a solid ability. Legion's Landing, I think you will see play. There's always white decks out there. Ask Craig Wesco. But I mean, whether you are asking a pro player or watching YouTube channels, at Mindsculpt Games we make sure everybody's able to enjoy Magic. And we don't cater to necessarily one type of player or look down on people because they don't want to be competitive tournament players or because they do want to be competitive tournament players. We're going to try to cater to everybody there, and it's not possible to make everybody happy, but we could try to make everybody's play style possible. Death Gorger Scavenger, another dinosaur. Look at the colors on that art. I just think we're 2 packs, 3 packs left, able to build a pretty good community here. People can choose what they want. We have Monday Commander, we have Magic Leagues, we have we've done Modern Winnaboxes, we've had Friday Night Magic. There's 18 people playing out there right now in a draft of the new set. We'll draft tomorrow. Draft's probably my favorite format. It's probably Daniel's too, so it might be catching on around here. Draft seems to be our favorite player's favorite type. This is a Burning Sun's avatar. That's also, we do have a couple left. We did not run out on our first day of our buy a box promos, and the Burning Sun avatar is included in there. So if you like this guy, you're guaranteed to get him if you buy a box tomorrow and you're one of our first 7 customers that buys a box. So he deals 3 damage to target opponent and 3 damage to up to 1 creature, so he doesn't have to deal the damage. It can still come into play, doesn't have to hit one of yours. A pretty efficient creature there. Now his price is a little deflated because there's going to be some of him running around everywhere because he's in the pack and he's the promo outside of the pack too, and then he's in the packs, the booster packs, not just the promo packs. So, but there's going to be people out here that enjoy Ixalan just for the treasure hunt, that want to play with their kids, that want to play on the Pro Tour and Standard, that want to play Modern, that are looking for those legendary creatures for their Commander decks. All sorts of people are going to be happy with Ixalan, and that's how Magic's succeeding. They're playing to their base is that they're playing to multiple bases, that there's lots of different people out there that are getting their fix in different ways with Magic. And that's why Magic's going to succeed for the long run. They're not dependent on just the Pro Tour. They're not dependent on what used to be the market of the Star City Opens. They're flexible. They're not dependent on Commander. They're not dependent on Walmart. Honestly, they're probably not completely dependent on local game stores, but that's the best place to play and meet people. But the tabletop gamers that play in their kitchen and never show up at a game store except to buy product, those are, ooh, Mythic at the end. Those players too, Ixalan's going to hit. So Rowdy Crew, 4-mana pirate, 3/3 trample. When Rowdy Crew enters the battlefield, draw 3 cards, then discard 2 cards at random. If 2 cards share a color, type, or discarded this way, put 2 +1/+1 counters on the Rowdy Crew. So the Rowdy Crew could come in at a good sized advantage, but the biggest thing is you draw 3 cards. Discarding 2 at random is hard, but drawing 3 cards is a rare ability in red, so we'll see how those get used. But honestly, I think Ixalan's a pretty good set. It's got a little bit of everything for everyone. There's honestly, to be able to get foils like Unclaimed Territory or an Opt, a lot of our box value is recovered in these 2 cards, and people are going to look past that. You might think like, I didn't get a Planeswalker in this box, but I got a foil Opt and a foil Unclaimed Territory. Even if I got a foil Walk the Plank, or if I got a there's foil Spell Pierce. There's lots of cards in here for value. Alright, so overall pretty happy with our first booster box opening at Mindsculpt Games. Any of these will be available. If you want the foil Opt or foil Unclaimed Territory, they're here. We got the Temple, the Sunken Ruin, the Lost Veil, multiple Unclaimed Territories, multiple Spell Pierces, lots of value in the commons and uncommons, and people shouldn't look past that. We got a range of Mythics, Sunpetal Grove, Drowned Catacombs, Registore Alphas, and we're opening more. So we will have singles available for you, a whole stack of commons, uncommons. Want to come check them out, see what Ixalan's all about, see what Magic's about, see what a lot of people's new favorite place in Great Bend is about. Come check out Mindsculpt Games, 1401 Main, Great Bend, corner of